Good morning, everyone. I just wanted to give everybody talk about me not wearing a mask and the video that I posted a couple days ago. Also, my election contest update, and also what we can do in Travis County to stop the corruption that's happening in our elections. So, I typed up my notes because I'm not used to giving live speeches on a regular basis, and so I don't want to forget anything. So I'll read back and forth, but also it keeps me on track so that I don't get off on tangents because I have strong beliefs and opinions about a lot of things. So I want to use this Facebook Live to briefly discuss my refusal to wear a mask. I want to give you an update on my election contest, and I want to address the broader problem of election corruption, specifically in Travis County. I want to make sure that I'm live, but I think I am. Okay, so as for my belief about masks, we will not be in agreement unless we first start with the same premise, which is based on my research and personal experience. I don't believe that masks are necessary. I understand that there are conflicting studies out there, but I tend to follow the frontline doctors and Dr. Simone Gold. There are YouTube videos still up featuring these doctors, and Tea Party Patriots actually did like a 1-hour interview with a psychiatrist and 2 doctors last week. That's super interesting. It focuses more on our children going back to school, but you can find that on the Tea Party Patriot Facebook page last week, I think on Thursday. And these frontline doctors and the treatment they recommend is constantly being censored by the media. And I don't know if that bothers anybody else that's listening, but it bothers me. If in America, where we are free, there are doctors that are being censored, then Houston, we have a problem. So I want to live in a country where I'm free to make my own choices, not ones that are dictated by my government and nefarious actors. In addition, I've been around thousands of people without a mask. I have a healthy immune system and I'm not afraid. I know many people who have had it at different ages, including my 20-year-old daughter, and all have recovered. So I don't deny that people have died. It is an illness and people are going to die. I read recently that the average age for Americans, the average age of death for Americans is 78, and the average age of a COVID death is also 78. It is unfortunate, but death is a part of life. None of us or anything that we do will stop death. If you are sick, please stay home and get better, just like with any illness, any other illness. For these reasons, I will not wear a mask. I believe wearing a mask is an infringement on our freedoms. I think wearing a mask is being used to create division, and I think wearing a mask is ludicrous. I won't wear a mask to virtue signal that I care about you. I will continue to not wear a mask to show you that I care more about your freedoms than your fears. I encourage everyone to do balanced research and make a decision for yourself. I would ask that you exercise, I thought I turned my ringer off, sorry. Sorry. I would ask that you exercise critical thinking and consider, for example, whether the virus would hover and attack in a school, but not in a Walmart or a grocery store. So I want everybody to know that it's me not wearing a mask, again, is me showing you that I care more about your freedoms than your fears. And I think each of us as an American should be given the choice whether or not we want to wear a mask. And again, based on my research and listening to doctors on the front lines and my own personal experience, I don't believe that masks are necessary. And I think that the scientific evidence the scientific data provides evidence that masks aren't necessary and aren't helpful or beneficial. Okay, enough about masks. Let's pivot to my election contest because some people might want an update. For those of you who don't know, briefly, I'm a candidate for Texas House State Rep District 47 in Western Travis County. I led in the March primary, and it was reported by Travis County Election Office that I lost the July runoff. Based on credible data, I did not believe that I had truly lost the votes. Texas law only gives standing to bring an election contest to the candidate. So if I did not contest the results, no one could, and no one would expose the Travis County office for the corruption that they engage in on a regular basis. Fortunately, there were poll watchers at the Travis County Central Count on the night of the election, and we were able to get the audit log. Long story short, there is mountains of evidence that the Travis County Election Office broke 20 or more laws during the election, some punishable by jail time. I have linked the lawsuit to my website at www.fleck-texasstrong.com if anybody would like to read it. Unfortunately, the lawsuit must name and serve my opponent in the election. I have no evidence, nor do I believe that my opponent was involved in any of the alleged criminalities. I filed the suit to right a wrong, protect the voter, and bring attention to the fraud committed by the Travis County Clerk, Dana DeBevois. To void or overturn an election contestant must demonstrate by clear and convincing evidence that voting irregularities materially affected the election results, that such irregularities have affected or changed the results of the election and made the outcome impossible to determine. The evidence will show that the laws broken by the Travis County Clerk, Dana DeBevois, were mandatory, commanded her adherence, and many carried criminal penalties if not followed. Her conduct violated the law and exhibited flagrant fraud and corruption. Therefore, the election should be held void because the corruption makes it impossible to determine the true outcome of the election. Now, the remedy that I seek is a new election, which puts me in a bit of a quandary, which is what I want to discuss more broadly with hopefully not my typical viewer. If you are not my voter, you may be asking, why does this pertain to me? Election fraud is a statewide problem. Potentially, I would assert a nationwide problem that has not been properly addressed, specifically in Texas, has not been properly addressed by our state attorney general, Ken Paxton. He has 2 to 3 ongoing investigations into election fraud across the state, but has taken no action to resolve the fraud. When I say action, I mean replacement of personnel, criminal prosecution, and legal elections. He is also aware of my petition, Ken Paxton, where I provide ample evidence for him to act. But as far as I know, he has not. No voter in the state of Texas, no matter your party affiliation, should tolerate illegally conducted elections. When Dana DeBevois processed Republican votes illegally in July, she also processed Democrat votes illegally. Her actions and the actions of others must be dealt with, and dealt with decisively before November. If not, in November, everybody loses. Listen carefully, Texas voters, especially Travis County voters, because that's where I live and that's where I have the most personal knowledge. These same things are happening in other big counties and small counties, probably. But listen to me carefully. We, the people, will lose every race and every measure. You want to replace the city council? Sorry, it's at risk. You want to defeat the transportation bond? Sorry, it's at risk. I know that there are 24,000 voters in Travis County, who wanted an opportunity to reverse the camping ordinance. Nope. We've been sold out by people that are not legitimately elected by the people. You want to know why nobody is listening to you? Nobody is listening to us? It's because it's because they know they are selected. And their selection is secure as long as we don't have legal elections. In conclusion, what do we do? What in the world do we do? Because if our votes aren't counted, we have no protection. For example, today is the last day to file as a candidate for City Council or Austin ISD Board Trustee. Before I knew what I know, I would have been on here encouraging voters, citizens, good people to run as a candidate in those races. However, if we don't have legal elections, it's all for naught. We can spend all the money, we can raise all the money, we can hire all the best political consultants, we can market and have flyers and be on TV and be on radio and do our best and get the most votes. But if we don't have legal elections, then our votes aren't counted. So again, today really is frustrating for me because part of me says we should never allow these city council members or these bad trustees to run unopposed in an election. But if they're not counting our votes, then it doesn't really matter. Do you understand what I'm saying? So although I want to encourage people to run for office, we have to have legal elections or we can't ever get better people elected. It's a difficult day for me today, and I want everybody to pray about that and think about that, what God would have you do. If you're a person that could be a candidate, it's possible, supernaturally, it's possible that we could get this problem fixed between now and November, and you could get a fair shake, a fair election. I just don't see any movement today. So that's not something that I have the power to guarantee. So I said no amount of donations, marketing, volunteer hours, or voting will change things. I know it's a depressing thought. The answer is that we must demand legal elections. We must demand an honest, a fair election administrator in every county. Dana DeBevois in Travis County must be removed from all election day duties, all election cycle duties. Last week, I posted 6 things that we as a state could do better in order to protect our votes. And that's posted and everybody can go look there. I am for protests at the election office and the state attorney general's office demanding improvement and protection. I don't know what we as the people can do to help without the help of those in authority to make changes. I wish I had more answers, but I don't. But I am willing to partner with any voter, Democrat, Independent, or Republican. I am willing to partner with any voter and any group who's in favor of having their vote counted. So last week, Justin Berry was served with the lawsuit. He has 10 days to answer the lawsuit. The lawsuit was already assigned to a judge, and I am hoping for a fair and just trial and a fair and just outcome. Again, the remedy is that I get a new election, that the people get a new election. The problem is we're not getting legal elections. So that's what has to be fixed. If anybody has solutions, I am available and would love to discuss those solutions. I wish I knew more. I'll tell you this, that when I decided to run for office a year and a half ago, I remember being at the Capitol as an activist and fighting against graphic sex ed and gender confusion in the schools. That was my issue. And I remember being up there every week and meeting with legislators and their staff. And I just came to a point where I didn't understand why nobody cared. Like, Democrats didn't care and Republicans didn't care. And I didn't understand because I was naive and I didn't know. I just didn't know. So I assumed, based on my limited exposure and knowledge, that the reason that nobody cared was because good candidates, people who care about people, had not stood up and run and gotten out there and met the voters and won their hearts and minds and won their votes. That's what I thought. So I'm like, oh, I can do that. I have the resources. I have the time. I'm gonna go run for office. I'm going to be a difference maker. I'm going to make changes. And so that's what I did because I thought that's what the problem was. And I confess that I was naive. I confess that I was wrong. That the problem isn't necessarily because we don't have good candidates running. It's because we don't have legal elections. And this isn't the path that I thought that I was on. I didn't know that this was what my advocacy was going to be for and about, but this is where I'm at. And I will fight for as long as I can for legal elections because I believe that without a vote, we have no protection. And so that's where I'm at. And there are people, including Republicans, including even some of my voters and some of my friends who think that I should back off the election contest and do nothing. And not waste Republican resources and not waste everybody's time and focus on getting a Republican elected. And I don't know how to say this more clearly. We're not getting legal elections. No matter what, no matter if I stop doing what I'm doing, we're not going to get a legal election. The Democrats aren't going to get a legal election. The Republicans are not going to get a legal election. And that's what I care about more, because I care more about every voter being protected than this race that they likely won't give to us anyway. So please, please consider what you're suggesting when you ask me to lay down, bow down. Please consider that, because I'm not going to, but I want you to actually think about what you're asking me to do and what you're asking me to give up. So there's not a lot that I can do, but what I can do is continue this election contest, and that's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to take it to the finish. And if at the finish, the court, the Texas court, doesn't address or care that many, many laws are broken during an election, and they don't grant me relief, then that is a decision that I will live with at the end, but I will take it to the end. So there's so many things that I would love to talk about. So many things I'd like to say right now that'll just get everybody stirred up on a bunch of different issues. Know this, I'm for opening the economy, opening Texas. I'm not for taking government handouts. I'm for people going back to work. I understand that not everybody can do what I'm doing. Not everybody can go out there and not wear a mask, because some people need to keep their jobs, and they believe that in order to keep their job, they have to wear a mask. And I get that. I think there are a lot of us who have the resources and a job in which, like me, that I can go out and not wear a mask and not risk my livelihood. And I would assert that there are many of us who are in that position. If thousands and 10,000s and 100,000s of us just decide one day soon, one day, that we're going to stop wearing masks, what are they going to do? What are they going to do? Nothing. They can't do anything. I mean, they're defunding law enforcement, so there's less people be doing anything. And I'm not suggesting that we go out and be injurious, injure people, or be violent. That's not what I'm suggesting. I'm suggesting that we all decide that we're not going to wear masks. And those people that need a little encouragement and a little bravery and need to see courageous people will follow. And then we can go back to living a normal existence. I'm not for the new normal. I'm not, sorry. So thank you to everyone who is encouraging to me. I promise you that I am prayerful. I promise you that I am in the Word. I promise you that I am trying to do everything that I can that God directs me to do. And if I seem erratic or unreasonable at times, I apologize. This is very new. This confrontational part of what I'm doing is new to me, but I will try to stay self-controlled and measured. So I also want to remind everybody that I care about you, and that I am doing this for the voters. And that I am one of the very few people in the entire state that has standing to do what I'm doing. All the rest of the candidates that may have been cheated in July, like I was, if they didn't do something within a certain time period, 10 days, then they've lost their opportunity under the law to do anything. So I would say, I'm it. If not me, then no one. So I'm going to keep fighting for you.